Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Agent Box with me, Shamgani, and my colleague, co-presenter.
A bear. Yeah. How are you, Shamai? How is it
I'm
going?
good, man. I had a busy week this week. We've been out and about visiting some universities. There's just too much going on. There's not enough. There's not enough hours in the week to do everything I need to do. It couldn't
We
be
should be
more.
cloning you, bhai.
Yeah, no, don't do that, man. Might upset my wife. She's sick and tired of me, man. She don't need more of me running around the place.
Well, we can't get enough of you, so we need a clone.
That's it, man. £10 in the post to you, bro. Don't you worry. Anyway, listen, dude. How have you been? Anyway, you been all right? You been good?
Yeah, it's just that time of the year, just wrapping up September. I think all our colleagues in the industry are pretty much in a similar situation, wrapping up September and also gearing up for January because we don't have much time left for January.
Yeah, it's a busy time, man. Yesterday I was at a university up in the north, and thousands, felt like thousands, probably was at least maybe a couple of thousand, I don't know, students enrolling. It was the sort of enrolling freshers and this, that, and the other. Very, very busy time for colleagues at the university. There's another university I'm chasing something else for, and these guys have been on radio silence, and I thought I'd upset them, but actually it turns out they're just busy with the enrollers. Do you know what I mean? Coming in because weirdly, what it is that despite international students make up quite a small percentage of most university enrollments. Let's say if you take a pretty big sized university where they've got, I don't know, 25, 30,000 students, you'll find that maybe 3,000, 4,000 of those are international. So you can imagine how busy the university is enrolling. Every one of those students needs to enroll every year. So enrolling 30,000 students, or thereabouts, that's a big task, man. So everybody gets involved. You know, the international office. It's like with clearing. With clearing, everybody gets involved. But also, the international office staff are also now gearing up for where they're going on trips in the autumn from next month, if not later this month. There's going to be trips happening for all of the international office colleagues. So yeah, it's a busy time for everyone. But you know what, guys, what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about this subject of students enrolling. And why are we talking about that on the agent box? Because of this question that's just popped up. That as agents, how responsible are we for ensuring, that students are enrolling? Or is it enough for us to be thinking that actually and we've talked about this before on the show, where once the student gets the visa, it's difficult to keep hold of them. They don't necessarily respond. They don't want to be in touch with the agent anymore because they've got what they wanted, which is, their admission at university. They've got their visa. Now they're going to go do their own thing. What's your thoughts on that, Abir?
To be honest, I am a bit old school in that matter because I personally believe that we need to keep hold of students even after they enroll, even after they graduate. Because my personal feeling and my personal experience working in the industry is because that our industry is thriving on the word of mouth referrals. So if you do not provide that end-to-end service, because again, we have talked about this on this show many times, that we are not a visa processor or we are not an immigration specialist. So getting the visa is not the job done for us. For us, we need to ensure the student is getting proper education. And if he is not enrolling and completing his or her classes, how do you ensure that?
This is the issue, though, isn't it? And look, I'm gonna talk about this from a university perspective, right? When I've worked at the universities this time of year, what we're looking at enrollment figures. Remember, the university is not very different from the agent in terms of the international office staff. At a certain point in the year, we're looking at application numbers, sort of make sure those applications are coming in, those are turning into offers, and then those offers, any conditional offers, are being met, payments are being made. Excuse me. So all of those things are being looked at by the international office staff. But for the international offices, what matters, what will be the number that you can claim you've enrolled for this year is the enrollment number. So all of these students from all over the world, whether they're from Hong Kong, whether they're from Malaysia, whether they're from parts of the Middle East, South Asia, Africa, wherever, it doesn't matter. Getting those students to enroll is something that is absolutely critical because it's only the enrolled students that are actually within the university numbers. The university does not consider, numbers or income based on deposits. That's just a part of the journey, part of that pipeline, that if a student's made a deposit, the chances are, the probability is that they're going to enroll. But unless and until they've actually enrolled, they've arrived here in the UK and they've enrolled, those numbers are not included. Plus, let's not forget that the UKVI is interested in this. The UKVI has issued CASs, or given you CASs that you've assigned to certain students. If those students then don't enroll, that is an absolute nightmare scenario that a lot of other people are going to get involved in from the university, not just the international office. So there is a lot of pressure on international office staff to make sure that these students are enrolled. But like we were saying before the show, how many of our agents, actually know how many students have enrolled at any given time? That, as an agent, I've sent, 200 students, I've got 200, visas. How have they enrolled? Am I, as an agent, contacting the university, confirming with the university, these students should have enrolled, that student should have enrolled? In all the years that I've worked, probably a very small handful of agents have probably ever done that, where they're getting in touch.
And to be honest, to answer today's question, let me bring you back to the fundamental questions. Like I think we covered that in one of our episodes as well. Why do universities or the international office works with agents? The agent should be treated as an extension of the international office of the university. So if it is the headache of the international office, it should be our headache as agent. That's my understanding. So, and at the same time.
That is a really good point, because the expectation is every conversation, every strategy conversation that I've ever had in a university, right? It's where we're looking at channel split, we're looking at direct versus agents versus, coming through partnerships. The expectation is that the partnerships and the agent numbers are definitive. These are definitely going to enroll, because there are agents, there are people pushing these students to enroll. But actually, is that the case? Is that what we're doing as agents? I mean, it'd be interesting. I'd love to be able to run a poll of how many agents actually do this kind of stuff. And if we are doing it, then that's great. But I'll give you an example. I was speaking to a university yesterday where they were telling me that there was a particular student. This student has arrived here in the UK, apparently hasn't booked any accommodation, hasn't, done any enrollment, nothing. They've done nothing really. They've just physically arrived. And they're basically asking the university, how do I get a bank account? How do I now enroll? How do I, where do I find accommodation? University accommodation is now full, so they're going to have to find accommodation themselves. The university staff member was trying to figure out, did this student automatically assumed this must be a direct student because nobody's helped them? Turns out they came through an agent. And straight away, the university is now getting wound up that, well, if it's come through an agent, how come then they haven't done all of these things? What's been going on? What's the agent been doing? So this is something that does happen. I mean, it's not a fantasy scenario. You know what I mean?
And let me tell you, to our agent friends, when these things happens, the student comes out and talk to international office guys, and more innocent than a newborn kid, because he has done nothing else. He is the innocent kid, and the agent has played him.
Totally, man. I've seen that hundreds of times, okay, where the student behaves like the victim. You understand? That nobody helped me. No, the agent didn't. Because the first thing the university is going to say to that student is, well, didn't your agent tell you about this? And didn't your agent tell you about... No, they didn't tell me anything. Even if you did, they'll say that you didn't. So the question, I used to say this to a lot of my agents. Do you keep records of what's going on? And it goes back. Look, every conversation we have goes back to that thing, that can we keep records of what's going on? That if I'm explaining, if I've, had a session with that particular student around accommodation, where is that? Where's that recorded? What information did I give them when it comes to, did I send them some link on WhatsApp, which I'm never going to find now? Or did I actually have a CRM system where I was able to put in there that, okay, these links have been sent, accommodation link has been sent through my conversion team or whatever it is? Because if that then becomes a problem and the university decides to take it further, you've got evidence that you can prove that, look, I did everything that I needed to do. and I made sure that the student had that information. Now, what the student's telling you, I don't know. But you know what, Abir? Do you think? I mean, inevitably, what makes this really complicated is if an agency is working with sub-agents, or if you're a platform-based B2B model where your agents effectively are managing that student and you are not yourself, but on the university record, you are the agent, if that makes sense. So on the university record, when they look in the system, your company comes up, but actually you're a B2B platform. So you're now using, sub-agents to recruit students. If you don't have a system, if you don't have something that you can check, something that everybody's plugged into, how do you find out what's happened to this student?
You simply just can't, can you?
Because then there is the added risk, the added final cherry on the cake risk, which is that the university then withhold commission, or they're not going to pay you full commission, or they're going to do something with the commission. You understand? And you are now responsible to your sub-agent network to say the sub-agent's like, well, no, I just want my money. The kid went to the UK, they've gone and done whatever they wanted to do. Where's my money? But the university is going to withhold money because they feel that you've provided a really naff service. Worst case scenario is they cancel your contract. But I mean, I can't see universities doing that over something like this.
And also, there are other aspects to it as well, like how educated or how knowledgeable we are as agent about the whole process as well. A lot of times, a lot of communications, because offer letters, usually it's like 3-4 pages. We usually see the table, oh, how much money, what needs to be, but have we gone through the whole nitty-gritty conditions, like what are responsibilities, and have we had that time to explain that to the student as well? Because sometimes I feel like we as agent, we just work as like a postman, like, oh, information comes without internalizing that, we just send it forward and we don't even care to explain, and the student is like, oh, I paid the deposit, I don't have any other responsibilities. Again, it comes back to,
you know what, here, this issue of the deposit paying, right? This is an interesting argument, right? Because I've worked with a lot of agents, I've spoken to a lot of agents where they have this mentality that, and we all do it. We all are forecasting in our own minds as company owners, as bosses, senior managers. We're always, kind of forecasting what the intake is going to look like in terms of enrollments, right? So as the deposits start coming in, our cogs start turning, right? And thinking, okay, I've got 200 deposits. That means I'm going to make 200 enrollments, right? So I'm already gone past the point of caring as to whether or not that student's going to enroll. Because in my mind, that's ka-ching, tick, that deposits come in. Let's get the next deposit.
But to be very honest, like as an agent, that is just stage one. You still need to have a stage 2, 3, 4 completed to get that ka-ching,
I think, the initial thought might come into the head at the point of deposit paying, but then when the visas CAS has come through, students got a visa, then definitely that's one in the bag. That's money in the bag. And actually it isn't, because you've got to wait for that person's got to then buy a ticket, get on a flight, because what's going to happen is, right, and I used to always laugh about this in Nigeria when I was going to Nigeria a lot. My Nigerian colleagues out there listening to this will probably smile to themselves that back in the day there used to be this joke that as soon as you got your visa, what you do, you go to the local church and you do a testimonial, right? So you stand at the front of the church and you proclaim, oh, God has blessed me, I've got my visa, I'm traveling to the UK. Now, what I always used to say when I was in Nigeria, that, whilst they're doing the testimonial and all of this, time is ticking away. You understand? They've got the visa, they're excited, everybody's happy, everybody's, but now there are so many little steps that need to be taken to get that person from their home country to the UK, enrolled on the campus, and actually sat in a classroom. There's so many little steps that have to get, you have to get through.
And also, I think you have experienced this as well. Like even just coming to the UK is not the end of it, because we have had cases. The student flew to the UK, then he has friends, relatives, so they have gone out south sightseeing for like a couple of weeks, and they have forgot that there's an enrollment deadline.
I tell you what, dude, man, I know of a case where there was a guy. He came to the UK, plenty of time, right? He came to the UK and basically was on holiday in London, and he's got all sorts of social media. He's doing his TikTok videos of being in London, really having a good time. He's got friends there, maybe whatever. And then he arrives at the university late, and the university's gone ballistic. Like, you're not sure whether you can enroll, this and that. And he's spinning some story about how he wasn't well, how this happened and that happened, and he, somehow just managed to get off the flight and run to the university on foot. And then somebody at the university was checking his social media feeds, and they were like, hang on a minute, mate, you've been in London for the last month and you've been on holiday. Here's all your TikTok videos. It's like, what are you doing? But in all of this, can the agent be blamed? That's the question, isn't it? For that student, like, you and I both know about another case where, students on holiday with their family, for 2 weeks here in the UK, and then tried to enroll the night before the deadline. They were trying to get up to the university to actually enroll. Train strikes, this, that, and the other, something happened. And they wanted, to get the university to accept them the following morning. And the university didn't. They didn't accept them, they had to go home. Now the agent is not getting paid commission for that student. That is the raw effect of not keeping a handle on what your students are doing, is you're not going to get paid commission. And can you imagine that crushing feeling of doing all that work? We all know how competitive it is to get students to come to the UK. Yes, people want to come and study in the UK, but there are tons of agents out there. There are massive global agents out there trying to keeping hold of that student through that entire journey and getting them here. That's a tough job. I know that. But then imagine not getting paid because the student came here and did something silly, you know what I mean? And the university.
And at the same time, like I said, so reading those fine reading and fine lines and terms and conditions, because a lot of the times what happens is, for example, if it is a pathway student coming to the UK, he or she might have to enroll both at the pathway center and at the main university. So if you do not read those terms and conditions, what they need to do and explain it to the student, the student might think, oh, I'm a pathway student. I have enrolled in the pathway and I'm done.
Yeah. And I'm okay. And actually, no, they haven't. Yeah.
And then as an agent, the question in my mind is more important rather than the blame. It's my responsibility to get my money, my hard-earned money. I need to do this. Forget about the blame. It's my responsibility to get my money.
Exactly. I mean, this is it. I think, you know what, I've said this before. We talked about it before the show that, we don't work in FMCG, fast moving consumer goods is not where we work, where you've got, quick turnaround, the moment the transaction is done, then you're not responsible for what that customer is going to do with the product that you've sold them. Whereas we work in a business where we are responsible for what that customer is going to do, at least up to 6 weeks after they have enrolled, the last date of enrollment. Why am I saying this? Because that's when universities are going to do their commission run. They're going to wait 4 to 6 weeks after the last date of enrollment before they start looking at who's enrolled and who's not. Why do they do that? Why do they wait? Why don't they just say on the last day of enrollment, that's it, bang, I'm going to, start doing commissions? It's because the universities know that students will change their minds. Student might decide to go back home. The student may not have enrolled, actually couldn't enroll on time. And this, if they're doing that, then we're not going to pay the agent commission. And it seems unfair, but that's the system. That's what every university is doing. It's not a case of...
Well, we can moan about it, but it is what it is. So you have to counter that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because imagine a scenario, and I don't want to suggest this to any of the universities out there, and maybe there might be 1 or 2 universities even doing this. But imagine you getting paid a proportion of commission just based on deposit. So let's say deposit's 5,000, you're on a 10%, commission rate or 15% commission rate, and you get £500-600, you know what I mean, for stage 1. I don't think we would like that as agents. We have got a certain calculation in our mind of how much each student is worth to us. You know what I mean, right? So that I want that money. That's the money that I want. That's how I'm forecasting my business going forward this year, how I'm forecasting, what I'm going to do next year in terms of growth and this, that, and the other is based on a set figure of how much each student is worth to me. Now, I don't want to be paid in dribs and drabs, a little bit here, a little bit there. And again, if I don't have a system, I've got no way of knowing how much money I've been paid for each student. And I can't pay my sub-agents who are even less informed than me, okay? I can't now say to these guys, oh, I'm going to give you 250 quid now, and then I'll give you the rest of the money when this student gets a visa or something, and then, or when they enroll. It's just not workable. So this is then all pointing to one place, which is that as agents, we have absolute control over our students in terms of visa, in terms of which airline have you booked your ticket on, what date have you booked it, which airport are you flying into? Because if you're studying somewhere in the north and you're flying into Gatwick, how are you getting from Gatwick to your university in the north? Oh, I'll take a taxi. Well, a taxi could cost you 200 quid. Have you got 200 quid to basically pay for that? You know what I mean? So which airport they're arriving in, has the accommodation been booked? Have we got proof of that, on our system? Every little bit. And then telling that student, in fact, when they arrive, what phone number are they going to be on? You understand? And look, we love our WhatsApp as agents, okay? We don't like using email. But actually, when the student has left your country, arrived here in the UK, maybe their mobile phone doesn't work. I don't know. The only way to communicate with them is through email, surely. So there's all of these little things, man, that we need to be thinking about, as agents on a very, very micro level, because then we have complete control of our pipeline, and we can very confidently say to our universities that, look, these students have enrolled, notwithstanding anything that you're saying, Abir, about the word of mouth that then goes back. You've got a happy student on campus that's arrived, they're feeling good, they're enjoying what's happening around them. They're likely to think of you as being the person that actually made that happen. And they'll then be happy to talk about you and your company to other students that they want to, that they have influence over.
Yeah, that's like a free ambassador for your company, and you're getting paid for someone like ambassadoring your business. So
that's also
like win and win.
I mean, we've said this before. Imagine being able to put out, as an agent, put out LinkedIn posts where you're saying, from during the summer, imagine that, during June, July time, you're posting pictures on your LinkedIn or your Facebook or your social media, TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is you use, that you're putting social media posts out there of your students graduating, students that you sent a year ago or 3 years ago, and you're celebrating that as a company. That gives you credibility, mate, more so than just getting visas. I got so many, because people do that. People put out on social media, I got 200 visas for the US or 200 visas for the UK this year. Better than that is you're telling stories of your students actually getting what they wanted from this experience, and you made it happen. That would be a cool. I've not seen.
And to be honest, like the common conception when someone posts that, it makes me feel cringy. And imagine our counterpart in universities, what they feel like. What are you even celebrating? The student hasn't achieved anything. It's just a piece of paper. It's a visa to come to the country.
Yeah.
Has he enrolled? Has he done really well in his classes? What he's doing,
Just because we're fixated. Look, we're running out of time, dude. We're already 25 minutes, 24 minutes in. But it's because we measure success as agents around no visa refusals. Do you know what I mean? That becomes the big thing, because that's what we think students are bothered about in market all the time. Every student is only ever bothered about getting a visa.
Yeah, to be honest with you, like when an agent deals with UK and he talks about visa rejection, that gets me questioned. That UK is a more straightforward point-based visa system. There should be no refusal in the first place. Why are you celebrating? Yeah. It's like postman delivering a letter and celebrating, yeah, I delivered a letter. That's the job, man.
I tell you, Abir, the number of agents I've met around the globe where the first thing they'll say to you is 0 visa rejections. I don't have any visa rejections. And it's like, well done, mate. Well, so that means you know
that's what you're supposed to do, man.
Yeah. You actually can do your job. That's good. But how many enrollments do you get? You know what I mean?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have the
You
record.
know what? I get 4 enrollments. Well, that's no good. You've got no visa rejections, but only 4 enrollments, mate. Then that's not good for me. Anyway, guys, look, 25 minutes.
I came second in a race, in a 2-person race.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, anyway, guys, well, listen, look, today's topic has been about, what kind of responsibility do we as agents have to ensure that our students are arriving? Because right now we're 19th of September, enrollment is open. Our students are all traveling to the UK, various other destinations, and trying to enroll at the universities. How much responsibility do we have in that? And I think we need to think about this. We need to reflect. We need to ask some questions within our companies to basically say that, look, maybe we could do more. Should we be doing more? And if you're one of those agents that's doing everything right and you have absolute control, then congratulations. Get in touch with us. Tell us that that's what you're doing. Share how you guys do it. What's the best practice that you're actually incorporating in your business? Anyway, folks, just to say, and I have to say this, that Agent Box is sponsored by Sam CRM, which is a CRM system that's been designed by agents for agents. And a shout out to the guys at Sam CRM, because actually they're going to be joining us in Berlin at the ICEF Digital in the ICEF Berlin event next month. So if you're going to ICEF, look out for the Sam CRM stand. I'll be there as well. And we can, sort of organize some discussions to see how Sam CRM might be able to help you in your business. Anyway, folks, some contact details that have been scrolling down the bottom of the screen, but also get in touch with the Agent Box, okay? Our email address, theagentbox@gmail.com, and the phone number there. Get in touch, share your views. If there's a particular subject that you want us to talk about, get in touch and let us know. If you want to join us on the show, let us know as well. We'll be happy to accommodate you in one of our episodes. With that said, that's it from me, Shamgani, and from my colleague Abir. Every Thursday, 11 o'clock. Join us next week, and we'll see you then. Take care, folks.
Take care. Happy